Hello, I'm Jason Sims. I'm the lead for administration of the British Society of Animal Science. I'm here with Howard Simmins, the treasurer for the British Society of Animal Science. Howard, I'll ask you about your area of specialism and how you've seen COVID-19 pandemic impact upon you.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening is there's a huge amount of uncertainty, and the businesses are all trying to work out how best to manage something which has literally come on them in a way that they weren't prepared for. I mean, if you look at the technical magazines of March, you will see them all talking about African swine fever. There's no COVID-19, on the agenda, and now it is the agenda because obviously it's affecting the whole human side of things. Now, from my perspective, what one can see is when you work with the corporate world, they obviously are concerned about their business, their share value, and they are generally a little bit risk averse. So the first thing they're going to do is ask, what is the most important thing for us to do? Well, supply chain, for example. They want to make sure that they are able to carry on providing feed ingredients, feed additives from around the world. That can be a challenge if it's coming from China or even Italy. So there's a huge amount of work going on, which really means that when you get into product development and R&D, you tend to be put a little bit to one side. And that, I think, is a challenge always, is we will be put a little bit to one side, and then when will we come out of it? And that is an unknown because nobody's got any idea of the progression of this in the course of this year. So we're all now trying to work out what the future is going to bring, and none of us are really that good in an exceptional set of circumstances.
So how much research have you seen put to one side for the time being then? Is it considerable, or are there still projects going ahead?
At the moment, companies are trying to go ahead, but it's going to be difficult if, for example, when you want to feed an additive to an animal, if the animal facilities are no longer available because basically they're all being put on hold, those sort of trials, or the actual, animals have to be looked after. Are the people available? Will the additive be able to be moved to be tested? So yeah, it's everything is slowing down.
And is that a UK situation? Is that global? Because of course the whole sector is global, isn't it?
It is global. And the UK has a role in this because we have good facilities to do tests. I mean, we have some of the best research facilities, but the companies that are in this business are based in Europe, USA, and in many other countries.
Are you seeing much of a discussion between all of these communities around the world? Are they coming together to try and address this with a one voice?
It's too early. That's the problem at the moment. It's too early. I think the role of BSAS it could be very helpful because bear in mind that at the moment we're seeing the developed world trying to handle this. And of course, we've had an actual excess requirement of eggs, of meat, and so on. But as people's money runs out, the actual market's going to change. But what really concerns me is the developing world, because at the moment they are not getting the same level of infection. But if they get challenged in the way that is probable, then we are going to start to see bigger decisions having to be made. And that, I suppose, is where BSAS, with its remit of trying to bring together the different parties, not just in the UK, but elsewhere, should be able to, I think, act as a bit of a glue to get some coordination behind the scenes.
Is there anybody you particularly like to reach out to in that respect? In what way would you like them to contact BSAS?
We've got a BSAS Global, which is working to get relationships with countries that are, for example, sub-Saharan countries or over in Asia. And I think what we need to do is to make sure that they are, it's always a small number of people who are doing this, but that if people want to work together, this is the time to reach out from both directions and find a way to have a mutual pathway to get through what is going to be a very, very difficult time.
So do you think it's possible that this period will actually open up more conversations and lead to perhaps a more diverse conversation once the pandemic is over?
It's going to be different. I think that the idea that we're just going to revert back to normal seems to be less likely. We're going to have a changed environment, and maybe we are going to realize just how connected we are, how much we are dependent on each other. On the food chain, that's really, really obvious. And it's going to be vital, I think, that yes, we are competitive, companies are competitive, but we've also got to find a way that we are able to openly make sure that we're looking after each other, perhaps a little bit more clearly than in the last few years.
So there is definitely opportunity as well as challenges that are coming out of this pandemic.
It's a hard thing to say, because we really got to deal with the short term and the very serious issues on people's health. But the longer term, maybe if we can get some action from the realization that we are so interconnected and actually work together on that, then there will be a benefit for the world in the future. But it's not going to happen so easily in 2020.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your time on that, Howard. Is there anything that you'd like to say as a parting note?
Well, BSAS, I feel, is very much a society that wants to link academia, industry, and protein production together. We've been trying very hard to do this, and I think that people who are like-minded, we hope they come and work with us to make this a reality rather than just a dream.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed, Howard. Really appreciate your time with that.